Jim Corcoran, 25 years of Apropos on CBC Radio. Do you believe in milestones?
I'm very surprised. I clearly remember when André Larivière called me 25 years ago and some, and he proposed this show because he saw me interviewing Joni Mitchell on Much Music, Music Plus, and he said, what a great idea. An artist interviewing an artist presenting another artist's music. He said, you know all this music in Quebec, would you like to present it to an English audience? And I remember saying, it's never going to work. Is there room for this on the English network? But I said, I'll give it a try. If it works, I'm more than welcome to share what I know about Quebec. And it worked. 25 years later, never expected it to be 25 years. But it's very stimulating to realize that people not only listen, but want to discover week after week. They want to hear new music. It's really, really fabulous.
Well, you've been in, I'm going to say the driver's seat, but almost on the passenger side as well, of 25 years of musical evolution in Quebec. Mm-hmm. What have you seen when you look in that rearview mirror?
Well, I must admit that 25 years ago, I dug into a pool that was rather limited. There were some great stars, great records, but not as many as there are now. There's so many more styles. And what's strange, not only in Quebec, but around or all over Canada and around the world, these are hard times for recording artists, but there's so many great records showing up every day, every week, which is great for me. It's great for our show. And I've seen the styles open up in Quebec. I've seen new ideas show up, new visions of things, new attitudes, and kids taking risks, and kids not listening to their parents and not listening to what happened before them and doing it the way they want to do it. And it makes for a much broader spectrum. So it's easier now, 25 years after the first show, to do what I'm doing because the choice is just so amazing.
How do you explain that cross-genre or the mixing of different musics that we now have that maybe we didn't 25 years ago?
I think the internet helped me stay on the air because the consumer will consume what he's fed. And radio has a very narrow menu, commercial radio, and they're stuck with that. But the solution that everybody has found is that you can find the music that you really want, that you really love. You can be surprised if you look around. And people are surprised when they turn on Apropos because it's not something that they're fed on a constant, regular basis. So there's that kind of excitement there. And I think that because people are choosing their own, are looking for music and not being passive about it, not just turning on the radio and hoping to find something good, they might. But more often than not, they won't, unless they're listening to me.
And you're not playing singles either. Sometimes it's some obscure album track or just something that fits the mood as well.
I've always had a soft spot for the songwriter, the interprète, the singer. We have great voices all over the place, but even when I was a kid, that's not what turned me on. I liked the songwriters, the persons I thought I was really getting to know because of what they were telling me with their songs. That's always what fascinated me. And if you look at Apropos' playlist for the last 25 years, we do favor the songwriter, and sometimes the obscure songwriter. And so that the audience understands my enthusiasm about some of these obscure songwriters, I've translated their lyrics for them. And people who might say, yeah, the music is kind of strange, but wow, what a great lyric. These are bona fide poets, these guys. Are there very many of them in Quebec? Yes, and I'll find them for you. And I almost regret having started doing that because it's a lot of work, but it's useful. And even people who are perfectly bilingual, they tell me, I thought I knew that Jérôme Minière song, but when I heard you read the translation and then I listened to it more attentively than ever before, I really realized that it was a gem. It's a work of art. Said, thank you very much. On behalf of Jérôme, I'd like to thank you.
Yeah. What names come up when you look back 25 years ago? You're mentioning songwriters and people coming out of the woodwork. Who are they?
Well, I remember the very first interview I did was with Pagliaro, and he had just released a record, and he had all kinds of projects.
And he hasn't since.
He hasn't done another record in 25. He's been living on that record and on his great catalog of songs, for sure.
We're going to start blaming you for that.
Well, maybe I was a jinx, But, he was the first interview. But as I said, there was a time where it was the solo artist. There was in the 90s, all former band members became solo artists, and then the bands came back, and now we have Corcoran, Malajube, and Galaxy, and Gomené, and everything. So it's cyclical, but there's always something new. Every time I say, oh, have I emptied the barrel? Is there still something that I can discover? Is there something that's already there that I haven't used yet or haven't really discovered? So I'm always digging around into records that I thought maybe I had really presented thoroughly, and I always find these hidden songs. I went, oh gosh, that's a great song too. So I have no playlist. I don't have to be au goût du jour. It doesn't have to be what's happening immediately. I can find a René Lucier record that I really enjoyed 7 or 8 years ago and say, why didn't I play that song? So I don't have any obligation of being the top 10 of the week, you know. That I don't have. I don't want either, because that's not the way I've gone about looking for artists and looking for songs. So there's a great freedom about the way I want to look for music.
Does it enable you to make links between then and now somehow?
I don't look for equivalents, you know. There's a word that's used in Quebec that I really don't like, and that's the word relève. And they use it when they talk about a new artist coming along, as if implying that this artist is taking someone's place. And I think that's insulting to the young artist. Maybe this young artist is at the origin of something, and I want to give that artist that chance. So I never use that word. There are jobs where it's your shift, but there are jobs where you can create. And you can come along and do something that no one has ever done before. And that happens systematically and all the time in Quebec. We're obviously influenced by what we've listened to and what we grew up on and everything. But individuals come out of the woodworks and do things in a very original and creative way. And those are the people I picked for this project.
Well, I was going to say, we're surrounded by instruments. You're taking apropos one step further by asking different artists to reimagine songs of others.
Yes, these are singers that I bring, but they're songwriters. We never hear them sing other people's songs, or rarely hear them sing other people's songs. So what they're doing, and what I was hoping for, is recreating the song, giving it a different perspective and infusing a bit of who they are and how they understand the other artists. So it's really interesting. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had the idea. I liked the idea. When I shared the idea, everybody liked the idea. Sophie and I sold it to Toronto. They said, "Hey, what a great idea! Yeah, we'll invest in that. We'll make it happen." And it's been a revelation too, because there's a kind of timidity about the songwriter who has to, all of a sudden, publicly in front of cameras and microphones, do his or her best to make a song that I like come alive. Mind you, I didn't impose anything on anyone. I suggested. I had these ideas. Some of them were a bit far-fetched, but they all worked so far. And everybody said, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, I'll do it." And the mot d'ordre, the word, is like, I don't want you to sing it the way we all know it. It's not stars singing other stars' hits. Nah, boring. You know,
Yeah.
It's people I really love who are not necessarily known, not even here in Quebec by a large audience, but deserve to be, according to me, and who have done wonderful work and who are very capable of having us rediscover other songs from other artists. So it's kind of a convoluted project, but it's all coming together nicely.
How did you pick the songs?
It's very arbitrarily. I thought about me. Their songs.
That's a nice luxury to have.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And well, to go back to apropos, the luxury of apropos is I have absolutely no obligations to satisfy record companies or press agents or whatever. I pick what really turns me on. I figure the only way this program can stay on the air is if I'm believable, and if people really understand that I never play a song I don't like. I never present an artist I don't admire. And so the people I chose and the songs I chose were songs that I figured, gee, I always liked that song. It should have gotten a little bit more exposure, a little bit more love and affection. And so I figured, well, I'll pick among those songs, and I'll pick among artists. Some of them are more known, more popular, more successful than others, but all of them are equally great in my observation of things. And that's very subjective and very arbitrary. And people say, are these the 10 essential songs of the last 25 years? No, but there are some of what I consider essential songs that deserve to breathe again and to touch a whole lot more people.
And beyond that, because after this is done, there's also the stream on the web,
Yes.
which will be an even bigger choice.
Yeah.
250
Yeah.
essential songs that have marked in some way or another apropos for the past 25 years. How did you pick those?
People say, Jim, 250 songs, that's a lot of songs.
No, it's not.
No, no. In 25 years, that's barely 10 a year, although we didn't go that way. It's not chronological choices. I just looked through the playlists and looked through my record collection. And I said, oh, yeah, Jam played that. And oh, that was so great. And it was a treat, but I could have gone easily beyond 250. And at the same time, as I said a while ago, songwriters, some songwriters who came along and who are no longer active, but did some wonderful work and then moved on to new pastures. And I consider to be among the more beautiful songs that have come along. I didn't pick hits. Some of them were popular songs. Daniel Bélanger, everything he did was a hit. So, but there are some other songs like Intouchable et Immortel, songs that were on albums that lasted 7 or 8 minutes, and so obviously they got relatively little airplay, except on Apropos. And those types of songs I can quite easily pick and put on a list. So I'll be presenting it on both networks, and so you get an idea what Corcoran likes as music.
Happy anniversary to Apropos, and here's 25 more years, Jim Corcoran.
Well, as long as you want me, I'll be there.
Thanks.
Okay.